I'm quite corny. I don't drop n bombs, too much. I don't do it at all. Actually, I say too much. I don't do that. you know, I'm not at all who this person was, and I went in and I really tried, and I was like, it was like a bad sketch. It was like what you'd see on like In Living Color of someone pretending to be a bad actor.
Welcome to My Worst Audition.
Hey everybody, welcome back to My Worst Audition, and I'm here with my good friend Rob King, and Rob and I have known each other for 15 years. You've probably seen Rob a bunch of different places and not even realized it. He's been in the Alexandra Daddario movie Can You Keep a Secret? He's been in the sketch comedy show Alternatino with Arturo Castro. He was recently in Law & Order. He's written for and performed in sketch comedy for Lorne Michaels' Above Average and The Dad. But most importantly, he played my love interest in the 8-part web series I'm Gay. The first episode alone has over 4,000 views. Welcome, what? Rob King.
Wow. I don't remember we did 8 episodes. That was quite an experience. Oh man, I feel like that show was like right at the like precipice of us being like, hey, maybe we'll be professional actors. Like that was like just a ragtag, let's get together and make something, and we'll have some weird purple dildos somewhere in the scene or whatever the heck was going on. Lava lamps as phalluses. I don't remember. But yeah, after that point, maybe it was our breaking point. Maybe that's what that.
Maybe that was it. Okay,
like,
this isn't working.
This.
All right.
Yeah. Yep. Oh man, so fun. Yeah, man. I always that was fun though. I loved working with you and Josh and everybody, and it was great.
I love working with you, man. And some of the stuff I have in my comedy reel. One of the things is something you wrote. The shelf video. With the dad, man puts off simple task for 8 months. It's brilliantly written, just hitting just the right note. So it made my job easy.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that was a fun time. I just realized I'm wearing the dad T-shirt. Just because it's free, and I only wear free clothing because I'm a dad and I need to save money. So
yeah, and you're an actor. So
I'm an actor. Yeah. Thanks for having me on this. I'm very excited.
No, thanks for being on, man. I mean, you're my third guest, so we're still working out the kinks. So this might just blow up in our faces for all I know. But
sure,
we'll give it
hopefully.
A try.
At least we're recording it. So yeah,
Hopefully this will end both of our careers.
Something has to. I'm trying my best. Something. I need my wife to be my sugar mama, just without a doubt. So let's just shut it down now. Yeah.
Just put the nail in it.
Yep. Exactly.
Well, as you know, this is just a chance for, people that I know, friends, actors, to tell their worst audition story or the most awkward audition story or just something notable because, I have a bunch of those, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So if there's anything you'd love to share, I'd love to hear it, and hopefully our audience would as well.
I feel like, and I say this with love, I feel like you're like the Picasso of bad auditions. Like you're playing chess and everyone else is playing checkers when it comes to purposefully pushing buttons in a room, an audition room. From what I've heard,
that is one of the greatest compliments that I can receive. I thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean it. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. So I was thinking a lot about this, because I knew I was going to come on, and I was like, oh, I definitely, of course, have many bad auditions. I was just sharing a story with someone recently about like going in for one of those ABC showcases a few years ago, and it was just a bad one. It wasn't my worst one. It was just a bad one because like I was rushed and I was nervous and whatever, and I just totally shat the bed. And I've had others where it was like a dancing one that my buddy Mark DeConzo, who got me the audition because he's like an incredible dancer, is a Broadway guy, and he got this audition for me, and I went in and I was like, I was in a show with him, and it was like a very basic show, and I was like, I could follow some steps, and they were just like, all right, come on in, 2, 3, 4, and they just went for it, and I just looked like a complete fool, like just so awkward, like I was doing the Elaine dance, and they were just quickly realized like, no. And then I left. and was so embarrassed, but I was like, still felt confident enough because I was young and I was like, I could do anything. I went back in and was like, I know that wasn't great, but like, trust me, if you book me, I'll be fine. And they were just like, okay, thanks. They were very polite, but they were just like, we're not gonna fucking book you. What are you talking about? You can't do this job. So that was a bad one. I'm just gonna rattle off a few bad ones if that's
No,
all right.
please. And the way you say that, I do remember distinctly the overconfidence of like our younger days. You're going like, oh yeah, I've never done this before, but I'm sure I can get it down in like 20 minutes of practice.
Yeah, yeah, I, yeah. So ridiculous. I mean, I still kind of have that, but at least I've seen enough people that are very good at their craft in certain like very specific like ways that I realized I can't do everything that I want. That's out there. Another one just remembered. Again, this is a very similar thing where like we have a lot of friends that are fantastic stage actors. A lot of friends that are on Broadway, and I just assumed I could sing and dance and be on Broadway as well. Like whatever. And many years ago, it was In the Heights.
Sure.
Was casting, and it was like I'd just been on Broadway for a couple years, or for like a couple months, and it was like very popular or whatever. And they had an open casting call, and I didn't know at the time like they had to do those because of equity rules, every so often. I had never auditioned for like a Broadway show, so I was like, this is it, this is my shot. Like they're looking for me. And I was dating someone that was a musical theater performer, whatever. And she's like, well, they're gonna ask you to do a song. And I had like something from the show, like which is mostly rapping. And I was like, I can do this, and I think I was very good actually at the rapping part. But I didn't have. They're like, she's like, you have to bring in your book to show them like the other songs within your range, your vocal range. I knew nothing about any of that because I had never sang before, never taken a voice lesson, anything. So I was like, oh, I have to bring in a book. So going to the audition. And this is so weird, but I go in, they're like, okay, do you have your book with you? And I was like, here's the thing. So cocky. What a prick. I was like, here's the thing. I'm not your typical musical theater performer. I've never done a show before. I don't have a book. So I decided to bring in a book that I happen to like. It's Oprah's book club book. It was like The Color of Water or something like that. I was like, you guys are going to love it. I only have one copy. Should I leave it here? And they were just like, that's fine. No, that's fine. Do you have a song that we're gonna? And,
I love it. I love it so much.
There was like maybe like 4 or 5 people there. One person got a kick out of that, and the others were kind of like, "Hey, this is our career. You're wasting our time." Rightfully so. But the one person that loved it, that's who I perform for. That's my audience.
Yes, I love it. I
fun
love
fact,
that
though,
so much.
About that, I got a call back for that.
Yes.
So my girlfriend at the time, musical theater person, been doing it her whole life, and we were living together at the time, and I came home, and she was just waking up because she was a night owl, whatever, and she's like, "Oh, how'd it go?" She like getting ready to be like, "I'm sorry, it's fine, whatever," and I was like, "Yeah, I got a call back." And she's like, "What? No, what?" She was so mad at me. She was so, and of course I didn't get it, and like then I had to like actually sing the next one. And they were just like, "Oh, okay, great, you can rap a little bit." Not a singer, not a dancer. You don't have a goodbye, whatever. But yeah, it was a very ridiculous experience.
So the joke at first might have helped be enough to get you the call back. Oh, all right, he's a little bit different. He's kind of funny, but now you have to do it for real. Like, oh,
yes.
Oh no.
Yeah, this is not. They're like, this is not someone that could do this 8 nights a week or 8 times a week. Like they were just like, no, he's charismatic, maybe. Sure, you're fun in a room, but you're not a professional performer at the time. Yeah.
It's such
that's
a good
actually
thing. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry. No, please.
No, I was going to say, I'd like to think that if I were casting that, I would have tried to find some role for you. I don't know if you remember when we were in Eight Is Never Enough together, the off-Broadway tourist trap improv comedy troupe. And bless their hearts, they got a lot of talented people in there. But I remember when they were holding auditions, and I think we were already members. Everybody came into audition, they brought their headshots, and one person submitted, instead of a headshot, a drawing, a pencil crummy child stick figure drawing of themselves as their headshot. And the two people who were running the troupe kind of took it very seriously. They're like, oh, well, this is completely unprofessional. You know, we can have this person. Meanwhile, I'm like, that is the first person I would cast. That's funny. Bring the person in. At least find something for that person to do. I don't know if you remember that at all.
I don't remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of that.
Yeah, I mean, like, show some personality. You know, obviously, back it up with the goods.
Yes.
Because this is a
your
business.
personality got you in the door. It's funny.
Yeah.
We have to see some talent now, but
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. But I would definitely not write someone off. I actually was directing a commercial end of last year, and we saw a bunch of people, and one person, they instead of like having someone read off camera, they played both sides almost like it was a TikTok, and they did it in a very weird way, but they were so funny and unique and different. And then when they slated, they were like, hey, I'm so and so, whatever. I'm doing this late at night. I hope this isn't too weird for you, but I'm doing it late at night, and I got this the night before, and so I just took a chance here. And they kind of explained, and I saw their personality, and then their video. It wasn't the best video, but it was weird and it was unique and had a point of view. And I was like, I want to cast that person. Like it was good enough to use, and they were like a cool person, took a chance. And I was talking to him afterwards, like on set, and I was like, hey, I cast you because your slate was pretty weird and funny, you know. And he's like, oh, thank you. It's like, yeah, like let's be people,
man.
you know. Don't just be checking boxes. Like, show me what you got, you know, who you are.
I know. Yes, thank you. Should be something different. That's great, man. Do you have any others? I hope I didn't interrupt you because it almost sounded like you had
No.
something.
So those were just the appetizers, you know.
Oh.
So it wasn't like anything crazy, but I'll never forget it because it was the most embarrassed I've ever been in an audition.
Okay.
It was very early on too. You know, I've been only doing this for maybe a few years, under 5 years. And it was for this web series that, you know, like living in Harlem, like in New York especially, like it's a community of creators. You know, you get to know people, and you know, you're like, oh, that person's a director. I worked with them on this short film, or that person's doing this kind of stuff, and you get to meet all different people. And you know, when you're first starting out, like anyone that has directed anything, you're just like, you're on the mountaintop. You know what I mean? Like you must know Spielberg and all these people. And so, and honestly, you're just like, I just want to do anything I possibly can. Web series is, you know, like just as good as TV at that point for you.
Sure.
And this guy was casting this web series. I feel like it was called like 12 Steps maybe, or something like that. And it was a mostly black cast. And they called me, you know, I submitted, I knew a friend of a friend got me the audition, or, you know, sent my stuff in, whatever. And I got called in to play this like drug dealer or whatever, just like total thug character. And it was, the guy was like, the character was very hood, just very, very hood. Like, I mean, just dropping N-bombs left and right. It was like Tarantino on crack. You know what I mean? If Tarantino was in the 80s, it was like Tarantino mixed with Spike Lee on crack in the 80s, basically. And
which is crazy because Spike Lee does not like Tarantino at all.
No. Yeah, exactly. It was a rough scene. What I should have done is say like, thank you. I'm not the right person for this. You know, or like, this is kind of who I am, or whatever, is something else available. I didn't. I didn't prepare enough, so I wasn't fully off book, and so it wasn't like in my body at all. And I went in, I was very nervous because I knew I was just out of my league, and just way in over my head basically. And I went in and I tried it, and it was so awkward. Like, look. Some people you watch, you know, like the most hood, whatever, like The Wire or something like that, and either that's who they are, really who those actors are, or they're just fantastic actors and it fits them. You know, they're able to wear that role. I am not that guy. I'm quite corny. I don't drop N-bombs, you know, too much. I don't do it at all, actually. I say too much. I don't do that. You know. I'm not at all who this person was, and I went in and I really tried, and I was like, it was like a bad sketch. It was like what you'd see on like In Living Color of someone pretending to be a bad actor. It was so bad, and I could feel it. The room was so uncomfortable, and I was sweating more and more, and I kept like powered through the script, and they were just like, "Oh wow, okay, let's try it again." And he tried to work with me, and it was like it just was such a uncomfortable mashing together of two things, and I was so embarrassed because while I'm doing it, you ever like doing a self tape or something like that, and you're like, I'll finish this scene, but I'm not going to use this take because I know it's not right. Like I know I'm thinking about the Pop-Tart I made this morning, or I'm thinking about like, oh, I wonder if the dog's bark is heard on the cat. Like you're just totally not in the scene.
Yeah, I was
saying crazy things the whole time. I was like, this is bad. Watching them, like trying to stay with my reader, but watching everyone. The room was packed. It was so bad. Of course, I've never worked with any of the people before. I still know them; they're really great. But I never worked with any of them. They never cast me in anything, obviously, because it was. I'm still embarrassed for that time. Anyway, I know I talked a lot, but it was. Yeah, I learned that day, like, you're not right for everything, and it's okay to say no, or try to find another fit. But yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, and I think that takes some wisdom because I was the same way starting out too. I'm like, oh, I can do anything. I can do any part, and I think you learn along the way that like, yeah, I think you are, and I think I am. We're capable actors, and in some parts we're very good. And, even in the wrong role, we could do enough to get by, and we're not going to completely screw up what they're trying to do, but clearly we're not fitting naturally,
Yeah.
And with so many actors out, there's so many people who could fit naturally. You definitely want to take the person who does fit naturally. It's totally understandable.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things where I'm glad I stuck around. And this is like advice I give to all young actors or whatever. Just like get started, do good work, and don't quit. And like roles will find you, and you usually work. If you're doing good work, you will work. Like if but if you let those little things like destroy you, you don't get to learn, you don't get to grow, you don't get to like become better at. And I'm so glad that I have stuck around because I have so many of those awkward situations, those uncomfortable, auditions where I was like, oh God, I'm never gonna work again. Like they're gonna blacklist me for whatever. You think it's the end of the world, and then with just a few years and some reflection, you're like, it's not that bad. You know what? Like, yes, that was still a very uncomfortable situation, but I've learned so much from it, and I've gotten so much more from the bad audition, of what I've learned, than I would have if I got cast in that web series. You know what I mean? So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, we learn best from our mistakes, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
that's a great story, man. I don't want to step on Josh Hyman, who I was talking to the other day, who you know well,
who also likes to drop the N-word a lot.
Well, I was about to say his
Really?
audition. Yeah, he had to do an audition where they required him to drop N-bombs, and I mean he tells it in our thing. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to use it or not because the audio was off on it. But he was so hesitant and nervous about using. He didn't want to say it. That they had to be like, okay, just you know what? Just say the word apple instead. Every time it comes up, just say the word apple. And he's like, okay, I'll try. Yeah, I mean this apple over here, he doesn't know what's going on. It was so bad. But he tells the story much better than I can.
The tough thing about that is that now whenever he says apple, he actually says the N-word instead now.
Yeah.
Poor guy. So, yeah. He's always like, kids, you want me to cut out these N-words? Oh man, that's rough.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's rough.
Yeah, man. I don't think I've ever had to say that in an audition. No,
yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah, it was again, and this was like a non-union thing. You know what I mean? Like they had a bunch of just starting from scratch actors. Otherwise, yeah, it may have been different. But this was just like, hey, just come on up to, you know, our apartment. We're gonna record you. You know, doing. Oh God, what a bad audition that was. But anyway,
It's great, man.
do you have any you want to share with me? Can I hear something from you?
No, I mean, you know, we talked before that were really bad when I'll share it on a future episode. I mean, I'll tell you the one because I don't know if the one that I did with Amadeo was actually going to make it on. I mean, we might have to redo that. So I'll tell you the one that I told him. And for anybody listening, you've heard this one already. You may have heard this one already if you've listened to Amadeo's episode, but it was my very first time. And I think you know this story, Rob. My very first time where it was about a year into acting and I decided I wasn't really booking. And if I'm going to go down, I'm going down just being myself and doing whatever. And I was 30 at the time. And my agent sent me in for an MTV Video Music Award commercial. Now, I'm not the hippest guy in the world. No, I'm not hip at all. And I was like, all right, I don't think I'm right for this, but sure, I'll go in. And we're at that time, like, I'm an actor, I can do anything. You know, what should I wear? And she said, it's business casual. I'm like, are you sure that's MTV? Are you sure business casual? She said, yeah, it's business casual. I go in, everybody's younger than me. Everybody's dressed in like the hippest torn jeans and leather jacket and everything. And I'm wearing khakis and a button down. So immediately I know there's no possible way I'm booking this role, which is the most liberating thing that could possibly have happened to me. Because now all bets are off. I'm just going to say and do whatever. And they paired us up with, you know, one other person, and I get paired up with this young woman there, and I'm just looking at her, just taking pity on her, like, oh, you drew the short straw. You got paired up with me. So we go in together, and it's just three people. I guess the director and the writer and the producer, or the casting director. I don't even know who they were. And they talk to her first, just asking her questions. And they say, "Do you like Justin Bieber?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, great. Yeah, I'm a big fan." This is the first time in my life that I'd ever heard the words Justin and Bieber together in the same sentence. I didn't know what that was at all. And they asked, well, who's your favorite artist? And she said some name. I didn't recognize it at all. And then they turn to me. They go like, oh, well, hey, do you like Justin Bieber? And I go, I don't know what that is. Is that a train? I don't know. And they're like, oh, okay. Well, who's your favorite artist? So, you know, my mind, much quicker back then, I'm thinking, all right, what could I possibly say to make sure that there's no possible way I'm casting this, to really shit the bed.
You said Nat King Cole, didn't you?
I didn't know. A good answer, my friends. But no, I did better than that, if I do say so myself.
Sure.
Who's your favorite artist? I go, Gary Glitter. And then there's a pause, and I see them talk to each other for a moment, like, what? And then one of them turns back to me. They go, wasn't that the guy with all the child pornography on his computer? Yep, he's the one. He's the best. And they go, okay, thank you. I'm like, no, thank you. And I walked right out. I'm thinking, all right, that's that. 2 days later, my agent called. I booked the part.
Wait, what was the part? What's happening?
It was like one line, and it was just somebody at a party, and hey, check it out, it's the MTV Music Awards. I don't know, it was so nonsense, and I don't know why I got the part. I don't know if it was because of or in spite of, but I ended up with it, and that was my lesson, to be like, you know what? F it. From now on, I'm just going to do whatever I want, because so much of this is dumb luck. You never know what's going to work or not work, or what people might respond to. And, you know, like I've talked in other of these podcasts, I know for certain I've walked out of auditions where, you know, they're like, you know, writing in the notepad, never work with again. I know for fact that's happened. But I've also walked out of auditions where they're like, you know, that was different, and we kind of wanted to see what you would do, and we wanted to bring you in because it was just something we haven't seen before, and sure. So who the f*** cares? Just, you know, go in and at least be yourself. I'm not going to name the name, but I heard from a great casting director, a major casting director in New York City. She's like, I see so many people, and I'm casting, you know, 20, 30 people for the same role. All good actors, very good actors. You know, at that point, at that level, I'm going to be seeing good actors. Give me something from your personality. Show me part of you, because I don't want to see the same thing 20 or 30 times over. And it may not be right for this, but it may be right for something else. So, I think that's a great approach to work with. And it doesn't mean you're always going to get it, but it just means, oh, at least it's different and somewhat memorable.
Yeah, yeah. It's weird. So in this acting class that I'm in out here, we've seen I've seen a lot of other self tapes from other actors, and a lot of times they put the slate at the end of their video, which is weird. For if anyone is listening to this or watching this that doesn't know what a slate is, slate's at the top. You're just like, hi, I'm Rob King with B plus talent, management, reading for actor who farts at a funeral or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Still waiting to hear if I book that actor. Who farts at a funeral part. But we'll see. I think I did a great job with the audition.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Or like a lot of times they will ask you to submit your audition and your slate separately. And I always hate that because I'm like, I want to make sure you see my slate, because my slate's always going to be like, hey, the professional stuff, I'm so-and-so, I'm 5 whatever, and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm going to include some fact that just shows my personality, some just not too long, but just like 10 to 15 seconds.
Yep. Give me a little button at the end.
Because you know what, like especially if it's a long shoot or something like that, you're working overtime, you're working at night, or it's many days on set. Like the casting director said, like there's a certain level of talent you're probably going to be working with, but also when most of the time it's the downtime in between setups or in between takes. Do you want to hang out with that person? And I want to show them like, hey, yes, I can do the professional, but I also I'm fun to be around.
Yeah.
I didn't quite nail that with my In the Heights audition. I got the fun to be around, didn't get the professional stuff. But if you can show that you can do both, yeah, do it.
I'm with you, man. I always tackle something at the end of the slate because why not?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sure I'll have more weird, awkward auditions. I hope. I haven't had an in-person audition in, God, I don't know how long.
Well, I mean, it's dry now with the writer strike and the possible actor strike, but yeah.
Yeah.
I know, man.
But
you should be. Please, if anybody is listening to this and is on the casting side, please bring in Rob King. He's a very talented man, and he should be working a ton more.
I'll bring you a
just
book.
Baffled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will bring you my favorite book. Come on.
He will bring you his favorite book. It will be maybe a different Oprah book this time, or maybe it's an entirely different book by a different person. Who knows?
Yeah. When you put out your casting notice, let me know what you're into, like what you like to read, and I'll do my audition and I'll bring you something to take home for yourself.
And I've seen Rob's library. He reads a variety of genres.
I got something for everybody in there. Oh man.
Well, thanks for joining me, man. Is there anything you want to plug or that you've been up to lately, or do you want to say, or where people can see you?
I'm on a house team at UCB out here in LA. Tracksuit is the name of our team, one of the mod teams. We do a sketch every month. The third Wednesday of every month. Come see. Siri always thinks I'm talking. I'm not talking to you, Siri. Check out Tracksuit, UCBLA.
Tracksuit, UCBLA, see Rob King, very funny man. You can check out his stuff. You can go to his website. I think it's the robertnking.com.
It is. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
No, not at all.
So it's always cool hanging with you and seeing your face. It sucks that we don't get that more often now that we're on opposite coasts.
I know, man. All right, go tend to your kids. I'll go tend to mine. We'll be dads.
Yep.
All right, later, buddy.
See you, man.